Alright, there's our piece. Plasma cut the holes out, ripped it down the middle, busted good with the plasma cutter. That's pretty close to most of those holes. But the holes match. The depth here and the depth here should be identical, which is what we want. And we'll clean that up with the grinder a little bit. And I got to cut a couple pieces for the ends. So I'll do that later. Apparently the camera wasn't turned on when I cut this with the plasma cutter, so I missed cutting the holes out, which is probably the part you wanted to see. But anyway, we'll give you some measurements. We started with a piece that's 5 inches wide and about 3/8 thick. And what I did was I went to my drill press, I think I filmed that, and I drilled a series of evenly spaced holes, even number of holes. I guess it wouldn't have to be an even number of holes, but in the hole size, my plasma cutter cuts about almost a quarter. Looks to me like 3/16 every bit of it. So I want an inch hole for my inch rods, and so I drilled these holes at 1.5 inches, and I basically just set them on here. I drew me a center line down the piece, and I kind of played with this, made the center of the hole line up with the center line, and then I measured from the edge. Once I got it looking like I should, and I measured from the edge. All of these holes are drilled accurately from the edge. I had a fence when I did that, so they're the same. So as long as you're getting it the same, it'll be the same. And we'd like the hole to be in the center, that way the bottom of the hole to the bottom of the steel is the same on each piece. And then we cut them out with the plasma cutter, and that gives you these pieces. Right orientation. And they would that way again. This is upside down, of course. That's what it would look like. And then I took another bar that was straight, and I clamped it on top, right in the middle best I could, and I cut down through there again with my plasma cutter. And I cut it to length. I cut one end to length with my chop saw, and that seemed to be all I wanted to do. Plasma cutter. And then I chose this chunk. This is not perfect by any means, but what we're making as a tool for me, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just had to be thick. So this one's every bit of 3/8, might even be 1/2, with every bit of 3/8. And that's going to be my end pieces that I'll weld on here, so that it has some structure in the middle. But this is what we got so far. Half set of holes. We'll have to clean all this up. I'll clean it up on the belt grinder, and then we'll cut this in half and square up the ends and clean it up, and we'll weld this together. Clean these two sides up. This was be the bottom of where I cut it, because I want to flip it like this and line them up, and I'm going to tack them together, and then I'm going to grind these. I've got a 1-inch belt attachment, and I'm going to grind these because they're, I'm cutting this by hand, and I'm obviously not doing a good job being straight up and down, so I'm going to grind these to make them match. They're in the right place, they're just a little off, as you can see those off a little bit there. So I'm going to grind those down to make them match. or less straight and smooth. Would have been better to drill them, but I did not have a drill a bit that big. And anyhow, we're just going to clean off these top edges now. Just level them up some. Just level them up a little bit. This is not critical by any means, but I hate for my tools to look terrible, so we'll clean them up a little bit. With the hard disc and then came back with the flap disc. I cleaned up the corners here where we're going to weld some. This is a 1-inch bar I'm going to use for my pieces, so I'm checking to make sure it fits in all of these, down all the way to the bottom. That one. Alright. Yeah, that's fitting alright. The adapter on the sander is a 1-inch. I bought these off of eBay from one of the guys that sells them on there. And the little adapter, I just made a stop for it for my sander. Works pretty good, got several sizes there. So we got that done. And I'm going to set my sander back up and I'm going to hit this bottom because it ain't quite flat. It's a crown on that. I'm just going to flatten it some. And with the platen on the top. And then we'll take that apart, grind it up all the way, and weld it together. Piece of steel. That's as flat as I've got a piece of steel in here, so I think that's done it. That's doing pretty good. If it was wiggly, you push on one end, it would flop back and forth. It wiggles a little bit side to side, but we're going to take that out when we put our pieces across here. Something narrow is always going to wiggle side to side. So I've been thinking about this. I've got this piece. I'm going to clean it up. And I'm going to put it at the bottom, 2 places here. And on the ends, I'm going to put a piece of angle. And the piece of angle will come down and out like that. And what that'll allow me to do is either clamp it down with a clamp or drill a hole in it and bolt it down. And we'll see how that works. But that's what my plan is. I don't recommend doing that, but it is about the fastest way I know to clean up round stock is to lay it up here and you just let it spin in your hands. Now the danger is this thing's heavy and you could eat it because you're looking right down the barrel of it, but it is fast. Definitely make sure the ends are not sharp, you know, that would really cut the fool out of it. Alright, that's basically our bottom tool for fly press. It would have been easier if I'd had an 1-inch metal drill bit to drill these holes instead of using a plasma cutter, or if you had a plasma cutter on the computer, that would be no issue at all. But basically you drill holes or cut holes at whatever spacing you think you need. I did 3 inches because my tooling, the major tool I'm going to use is 1 inch, and so if you figure out the tool, it's going to sit in there like that. And we've got some space here, so we've got some choices. We can keep moving them out, move them in there like that. You can do like that. That'd be a different choice. Nothing but inch round bar, and these holes are inch. You could go bigger if you had bigger round bar. That's as big as I had. But I think this was. I made the ends here out of angle iron. I welded everywhere I could weld. I haven't cleaned up any of the welding yet, but I welded everywhere I could weld, on the outsides and on the inside too. I put 2 pieces down here in the bottom. I don't know that you need that, but I did that so that we wouldn't be flexing this thing so much. This angle wasn't very thick, only like 1/8. So I didn't want it to be out here in the middle being able to be flexing, so that's why I put these 2 pieces in the middle here. And I've got it clamped to the table so when it cools off, it'll be flat. I've been welding on it right heavy, and I cleaned off the bottom of any welds, and then I clamped it to the table so it'll cool off. Our rods here are looking pretty parallel. If they're not parallel, it'll give you not a circle basically, and you know, just depending on what you want, that may be something you want. You could put one of these at an angle, and then that way you definitely would get you like a cone shape. That might be a choice somebody might want to try. Alright, we got our new bottom tool set up for our fly press, and I've got our round tool that we made in the last video in here, and this tool works by moving these rods back and forth, making different spacing for bends. You can bend any kind of material you want. Solid material wouldn't do good for a pipe really. It'd mash a pipe in, I think. But we're going to start out with it the narrowest, and I have let this down to make sure that that's hitting pretty center, because I want it to be an even bend. So that's what that's doing. It's hitting pretty centered in there, and this is pretty straight. We want this to be straight, parallel with our pieces. And so that's looking about right. And so we're going to push it back up just a little bit. Now I have some marks on my metal because I want to make 2 pieces that are the same. And so I'm going to start on one end, I guess, and come down a little bit and see what we got. I'm going to keep this in the middle. I'm going to line my marks up with the center of this best I can. And I'm going to start by letting this thing down. Then I'm going to move my stop because I want to make these the same. So I want to go down the same amount each time. So that's where we're coming to. That's what we got. That's the idea of what we want. Getting this in straighter. Some kind of guide on anything for straightness wouldn't hurt us. Alright, there you go. That looks pretty consistently. It's not smooth like a circle, but it's bent, and that's what I'm wanting. So we're just going to make another matching one. Hope y'all have liked seeing us make this bottom tool for our fly press. If you'd like to see the bottom tool, we made this top tool and several others in another video. You're welcome to check that out. I'll try to put it in the link or put a link up here or do something. But fairly simple project to make. Would have been even simpler if I'd have had a 1-inch drill bit. But we got her done. And I think it'll come in handy doing all kind of different bends so that you can really make stuff consistently is what I'm looking for. We have a bottom plate here that I just picked out of the scrap pile, and I'm probably going to drill and tap it, and so I can mount this down because I did notice it moved on me a little bit, and so we'll probably mount this to the base of the fly press and then mount the bottom tools to it, and so we'll come back and we'll figure that out. We'll show you a video of that too. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. Really helps the channel. We'll see you now on the next one.